This house right here looks like something straight out of The Conjuring. And it's almost in the middle of the woods, as you can see. Alrighty guys, what's up? I'm back for another explore. I'm here in a historic city within Florida, and we have a pretty cool house here. The owner of the house actually built this place around the early 1900s, and you could trace the lineage of this family immigrating into America all the way back from the 1700s. We're going to try to give you a good explore of it. Recently been abandoned in about the 1990s. Unfortunately, it's in bad decay, but there's still a ton of stuff left behind, so we're going to give you a good explore of this place. So we're having to hike through the woods to get to this place, but there the house is. So we finally found the house after hiking through these woods over here. So that's pretty cool. Alrighty, you can see that there's some graffiti tags in this area. Unfortunately, some kids have definitely gotten to here and blown out some of the windows, painted on the walls, but let's head on in and see what we can find. So, two things that I've noticed. One, this wall was made with horsehair plaster. And then there's tons of rooms here. There's probably about 4 bedrooms on this bottom floor. Going off of this area, there's the first room right here, which still has some stuff left behind. Let's see if we can find anything interesting here. Looks like they have some detergent still left behind and cigarettes. There's an old microphone down there. And then this historic chimney right here. That's beautiful. And more horsehair plaster. Stuff is nasty to fix up. There's so much stuff here. There's even books from older family, or from that were left behind here. And some clothing, an old door. Pretty empty, though besides that in this particular room. See if there's anything left in this fireplace. A couple of hats. And it extends into the next room, so looks like they caved in a hole right there through the fireplace into the next room. One cool feature I can see about this room right here is that they have these older light switches. This was not even strung to the wall. It was over the wall. So this is an older time frame right here, and definitely shows the age of this house. From this bedroom, walking over here, we have another bedroom that actually still has a mattress in here with older suitcases. This is probably a 50 or 60 year old suitcase right here. That is so cool. And then there's a newspaper in here. This newspaper is clearly not that old. This is probably maybe 2 or 3 years old. So it's interesting here. What's interesting is this place hasn't been lived in for close to about maybe 20 years, but we're finding stuff that is older than, or newer than 20 years actually. What is this right here? Looks like a pool cleaner. This area does definitely not have a pool here. That's pretty cool. You got a pool cleaner. Some shelving supplies over here. Let's see. And then over here you've got a flat screen TV, one of the older flat screen TVs right here that's smashed. One interesting room or thing about this room is that there's a pretty pink color here. This is a pretty cool build and it's fascinating. Again, you have more of these out of the wall outlets, not outlets, light switches. So they created electricity here. I think when they first created this place, electricity wasn't that big of a thing, or as obviously as it is now, and so shows you the date of this house. I wonder if there's anything interesting down here. Looks like a little blender. Some Raid bottle right here that still has stuff in it. Pretty empty though, as far as like just cool stuff. So we're gonna go out of this room and check out the hallway here. This is something really cool. I love the design here. Alrighty, let's see if we can find anything interesting here. Looks like an address book right here. Not really anything too old besides maybe this right here. This is a little... I don't know what this is. It's like maybe... I don't know. Maybe something, a lid or something like that. And then right here you've got a new flat screen TV. Underneath the stairs they had a little bit more, it looks like storage. A little cubby area. But there's nothing in here, so... besides that box and a little can back there. And then also oil, looks like, from O'Reilly Auto Parts. So off of the hallway is another room right here. And this room has a lot of stuff just thrown over here. It's interesting. You got books over here. Golf clubs down there. I think that's a wooden fireplace right there. I've got to be careful because it's so loud when I step down on here, but they've got books, they have a stereo player right here, a golf club, and yeah, that's a lot of what's in here. Down there, that's a pretty cool stereo system right there. So that's cool to see. And then you've got more suitcases, and over there is where the fireplace was caved in from the other side of the room. So off of this room there is a porch, and yeah, this porch is pretty filled with trash and stuff like that, so it's kind of sad to see it in this state. So I'm gonna make my way upstairs to see if we can find anything interesting. I love the look of this old stairway. This area is empty up here. I love how well lit this area is. And it might not be in the greatest of shape, but this is beautiful. Every room had light, so that's amazing to see. An interesting thing right over here would be there's an old door hinge. One thing that you can admire in this place is just how all the older features, just like the doors and windows, were left. I mean, just look at the detail of this lock right here. That is pretty cool. Very historic. It's definitely rusted, but it's cool to see. Also looks like somebody may have been staying here that was homeless. They have some peanut butter jars, some sandpaper, it looks like, from the past, and then more of this horsehair plaster stuff. Next room I've got to be a little careful in because they could see me from the parking lot over there, but looks like they have a little, would have been either a tackle or a paint box maybe, I don't know. Let me know what this was in the comments below. And then looks like a little stand over there, followed by a beautiful chimney. Wow. And then more details like this. So cool. Got a little children's book bag right here. That's definitely not that old. Okay. I'm gonna go across the hallway to see if we can find anything in this other room carefully. This room right here is filled with a ton of stuff. Yeti coolers, clothing over there. This looks like this would have been where somebody homeless would have stayed. It's kind of interesting because they've got newer shelving over there, and this house hasn't been lived in so many years that it's just really quite something to see. Something interesting is this solid wooden banister right here. And railing. Not banister, railing. We're making our way back downstairs now. So off of here, I see a couple of interesting things down here. This is another bedroom to the right hand side of the entrance right over here. And little Logitech keyboard over here. There's an old desk here, and then quite interesting because this part is extremely decayed in here as far as like windows being blown open. On top of the desk in here, you had a little airplane. This definitely used to be able to fly because you could see where they would have had the wings go right through here, and this was light because this is actually made out of styrofoam. Also over here, there's some pills down there. I wonder what that was for. Old lights, couch pieces over there, and ooh, a little camera down there for kids. Okay, over when I first started, I'm gonna show you if there's anything left behind here. Looks like there's another couple rooms over here. So that's definitely interesting. Looks like you had a bathroom right here. And wow, this has been stripped. This is an older part of the house. Or maybe this was the bathroom over here. Interesting. Yeah, this was the bathroom. The tub isn't that old. This is probably a 1980s tub. It's in pretty good shape. And another interesting thing is this window is still somewhat intact. This is an older window right here. Somebody's torn the sink down here. They had a place to put soap right there. And then a banister for maybe some creams and other things like that. And one of these doorknobs right here, this is still intact. That was the same type of doorknob as the upstairs. I love these details. It's rusted, so you might still be able to salvage this, but it's too bad that it's this badly decayed. More interesting details right here. You have these light switches again. And then the ceiling is actually made out of wood in this part of the house. Let's see. And then you have another good sized room over here. This was probably another bedroom. Tostitos. There is an old Natural Light beer can though. That is probably 15 years old at least. In this room the floor is sagging, so that is kind of sketchy and dangerous, but it doesn't look like there was necessarily a basement here. The door's still intact in this room, but it's covered by this junk, and then the floor is actually risen in this area, so it's tough to close this door. You've got a shelf with Where the Red Fern Grows Part 1 and Where the Red Fern Grows Part 2. That was a pretty cool movie. And I read the book when I was like 10 years old. It's a sad book, but it's definitely a good book as well. But again, another older door that has been destroyed right here. And then this is the room where we were confused about. Looks like this was a washer machine and then also a storage area. There's tons of older books here. Let me see. This book's not that old actually. Let's see. Keeper. 1996, that was when this book was published. And then No Way Down. The rest is noise. And up here, even more books. American Made. The Enduring Legacy of a WPA. 6 Degrees. Interesting. And then these books are a little bit older up here. They're paperback, so they're a little decayed. You also have a toy here. Zap. I wonder what this did. I wonder if this shocked people. So, very old looking room. I wonder if they hung some laundry up here. You can tell this was an addition onto this house just by the way it's designed. Also, it looks like there's another side to here, so we're gonna see if we can get through here without dying. This floor is so sketchy. Almost looks like a chicken coop here. This was screened in, so you had a nice screened in area to stay and just enjoy the outside. And then over here, wow, another bedroom looking area with, this is a kitchen right here. Looks like this was almost like an apartment. So something interesting about this house that I've noticed is it looks like the original farmhouse was built and then they added this section on here as like an apartment for maybe one of the family members, because this is a full-on kitchen over here. We also had a newer separate water heater over here. So this was definitely a kitchen for this area. And there was a kitchen, I believe, over there. I just haven't looked too deeply for it. Or this could have been all part of the house originally, but I don't know. Off of this kitchen area was, I don't know if this was a shed or a mudroom, but this is definitely collapsed in on itself. So there's no repairing this, but you could definitely knock this part of the house down and still have plenty of house to save. A light. This is a newer light right here, you can tell. Fortunately, there's nothing really left behind in these cupboards that I can see. Just decay and old age. It was an interesting window though. And you can kind of date this to the 70s just based off of this right here. Most 70 houses had this, I don't know what type of board you had. There's like some clapboard or something. I don't know the exact term for it, but definitely dating this house to the 70s for this edition. Now, something interesting about this household and the family that owned this household is researchers have been able to track this family even all the way back into the 1600s in France. So they would have immigrated from France to Great Britain, and then from there basically moved to here in Florida. They also would have owned tons of extensive land in the city, more than just this house. Their family had quite a bit of land and they had settled down in the neighboring towns throughout this area. So definitely a historic family and somebody to look back on. It's cool that you can trace genealogy this far back. I'll give you a little closer look at this screened-in porch. This has a 1950s look to it, but I bet you this field would have been entirely cleared. So you would have had a beautiful view of the woods, and this would have been one of the first houses in this area. It's so decayed though as of this moment. It's like walking through a death trap. You'd use the bathroom? There you go. I wonder if they had anything over here. Use of looking. A little bit of toilet paper. And then an open window into the other room. And you can see what these windows used to look like right here. Beautiful wooden look. Front porch is such a mess. That was like something to hold maybe equipment up right there. You have an old walker for a person. You have all this junk just piled up right here. Nothing really looks like it was from when this house was first created, so that's kind of sad, but actually maybe not. This rake right here actually looks pretty original. That's an older rake. And then filing cabinet. There's just a jar in there, that's about it. You got a microwave right there. A thing for holding cans. And then it looks like he also had a piano right down there. Or keyboard, sorry. Keyboard down here. This is pretty cool to see though. There's a really cool outside of the house though. A very historical look to this building. And it's definitely kind of sad to see it in this shape. See that right there? That used to be the massive TV antenna right there. I wonder what channels they got. This house right here looks like something straight out of The Conjuring. And it's almost in the middle of the woods, as you can see. Such a creepy place. Another interesting thing about this house is it's actually a pretty good size. Back here, that is the addition that looks like it was added on in probably the 1970s or 1950s to 1970s, but looks like it's definitely a two-story house that has no basement, judging by the fact that it is on cinder blocks. So yeah, it doesn't look like there is any basement here or anything like that. So that is interesting to see. All these windows right here are smashed in. So that's too bad to see. And it looks like they had books that were thrown right out of the window. Curtain by Dodd Mead. And then The Witness, Harper Row and Ann Holden. Fascinating. It's interesting how big this pipe is. This is a pretty big pipe, and I wonder, I'm not a plumber, but this is definitely where the bathroom was. I wonder what this pipe specifically does. Does it air up? I don't know why it needs to go that high, so if a plumber or somebody knows anything about this pipe, why it is like this, please let me know, because it's not in the kitchen or anything like that. One cool thing about this house before I head out is that the red roof, or the orange or red, kind of teetering on both sides. That is pretty, and it has kept in pretty good shape considering that this house is almost 100 years old, and that most likely is the original roof. So that's going to pretty much do it for this explore. I've been through this place. There's a lot of stuff left behind, but it's mostly trashed. It's become basically a garbage pit as far as like just everybody's dumping everything into here. I wish I could have seen it probably 15 or 20 years ago, back when it was in better shape. But even with that being said, this house has some of the most historic roots within Florida, and the fact that you can trace a family back that far with that much lineage is incredible. I mean, just look at this place. It still could be repaired, so I'm hoping that somebody purchases it and is maybe able to do something with it. If so, I would love to see what they're able to do.